This is IA Forward, your playbook for success as an independent insurance agent. Here to help you knock it out of the ballpark are your hosts, Shane Tatum and Tonya Lead.
Welcome to IA Forward. Shane, why don't you ever welcome anybody?
Because you have the more welcoming tone. Welcome, everybody. My voice changes. It doesn't even come out right.
I don't know why I went there today, but I did. Welcome to IA Forward. We're so glad you joined us. I always love topics like today because Shane and I usually agree on most things, and it's going to be interesting to find out today's topic, if we agree, if we disagree, and where it goes. So what do you think our topic's going to be, Shane?
Well, it's probably going to be something a little bit political. Government shutdown, maybe?
We can go government shutdown. Brian Kelly is no longer with us at LSU, and who our next coach is going to be. Either one.
The Louisiana governor has decided that he's no longer going to allow the athletic director to make the decision to hire the coach.
Correct.
I think is a little funny. But hey, Scott Woodward, to just specifically call the man out, I mean, he's kind of left a trail. He left a trail a little bit at A&M. Of course, there was another athletic director after him that also contributed to that. But now he's got the Brian Kelly firing midseason buyout. That's a whole conversation in this entire coaching carousel, firing coaches midseason, pay-to-play era. Like Nick Saban said it was coming. He got out because it was coming. You're going to spend all this money on players and coaches and then you don't win. There can only be one national champion. Where's the line? Every major SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, all the Power 4 conferences now, every single one of them, the statement when they hire the new coach, our expectation is a national championship. If your expectation isn't a national championship, then you probably shouldn't be coaching in sports in general. If you don't meet that bar, you're a failure. And you're fired, and now you get to execute a 50 or 60 million or more buyout. The dream job is moving from, I want to be an influencer, to I want to be a failed, fired, bought out, Power 4 football coach. And it happens to be a situation where it's like, okay, I want to maybe steer them into football coaching so they can get set up for the big payday one day. That's the craziest thing in the world to me, that we have this golden parachutes for college football coaches is insane.
This is the second mistake with our AD when it comes to football coaching contracts. Coach O's was under the same athletic director. My husband and I were talking about this last night. He was like, well, we just need to fire the AD. I said, you forget, though, that the AD is over all sports. And he's made some really great decisions, like Jay Johnson with LSU baseball, Kim Mulkey with LSU basketball. There have been some really good hires that he has done, but football has yet to be his success story. We'll see where it goes from there. But yet, we are talking government, and we are talking government shutdown. How is this affecting our agencies?
That depends on the geography. Where is your agency? What's the marketplace around you look like? I know that insurance is typically some type of lightning rod. We felt it during COVID, pressure to pause cancellations, do things like that, refund money because people weren't driving. Kind of got us in a pickle. Just in reality, in hindsight, it got us in a pretty good pickle. It is a regulated business. If you're given a mandate, you have to deal with that when the regulators. I think the agency level impact is definitely going to be geographical. Like, what is the government sector? What is the non-essential government sector, especially around the civilian side? What does that look like in your area? And that could either be less impactful, non-impactful, all the way to a severe impact in terms of the economy, being able to pay their insurance, being able to pay for other things. What does that look like is, to me, going to always be somewhat of a geographic situation.
In Pensacola, this is huge for us. Our economy is based around a naval base and an Air Force base. So this is huge for us, not only for the members of our military, who I believe should be paid no matter what, but federal employees, contractors, the small businesses here that rely on government work. All of those things are being felt here in a way that I could have never imagined if I didn't live here.
It's one of those things about the geographic view. We do have a couple of employee spouses that work in various government situations, and they're definitely going to have some level of impact personally. As far as the economy in our rural East Texas area, we're not near a base. We're not heavily dependent on government contract work or a high level of government employees, which is why I said that your area looks totally different than what my local economy looks like. The broader impact on Texas, probably in certain areas, certainly out in the Killeen, the area near base there. San Antonio could feel this. There's other parts of Texas that are going to feel it more than others. What happens when things are paused? What else do we not realize is actually going to impact us? Like, it's just like out of sight, out of mind, but then we realize that it's a trickle-down effect. Some of that you are going to feel faster than others. There's a trickle-down effect that may hit us that I'm not even thinking about yet. If it keeps going, if both parties lock in and it's just like digging the heels and take it to, scorched earth type stuff, then we don't really know. We're already at the second longest shutdown. It is going to be different with different geographic areas.
For people who have a heavy commercial book, SBA loans are shut down right now. Those payments aren't going out. And that could be a big challenge for our agents who rely on that small commercial sector for their business.
Government spending can impact us and our economy to this extent. This is something that I think I'm not saying it's good. It's never good. People have jobs, to be clear. People should be paid. They have jobs, they should be paid. I'm an employer. My people should be paid. We have to do whatever we do as an employer, government included, to pay the people that we employ. Employment 101, business owner, organizational, whatever. But I think the thing that really just starts to show up that maybe we're not as attuned to as a society is how much government spending impacts our economy. I'm a conservative. I do not think that's good. Let's just take Pensacola for a minute. 2 different bases. Obviously, our military should be paid regardless. You think about it, though, in an impacted area where there is heavy military, heavy government, the fact that it just gets bigger and bigger is concerning. That is a concerning thing, that we can have a few people, when you look at the big picture, the Senate, Congress and the Senate, our representation, who can get mad at each other and have an argument.
That was a really nice way of putting it. I'm impressed.
And these people decide that they're going to hold America hostage. This is a problem. And if you are a big government type person over a small government type person, I kind of hope this is a little bit of a wake-up call. Do you understand the economy? Do you understand how it works? And the impact of a bigger government equals a bigger taxation reality. This is one of those things in the beginning of the American experiment. This is why a democracy doesn't work. A republic works. We can't be a pure democracy. Pure democracy does not necessarily work. A republic does work. We've seen this. We can even go back to the Roman Empire. The Roman Republic worked. The Roman Empire, not so much. You can look at this in history. It was Ben Franklin who said, when the people discover they can vote themselves money, that is the end of the republic. And so it was expanded upon by another individual. It said a democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voters discover that they can vote themselves access to the public treasury. This is true. If we look at this and you go, well, who votes for what? Why do we vote for this? For instance, why do we want an estate tax? Why should an estate tax be in place? Well, it's to move money from one group of people to another group of people, not through earning anything. Why property taxes? You rent the right to own your home or own property. So there are things that obviously I'm going to be a low taxation type of person, very conservative in the fiscal basis. But there are things that you can kind of see that 250 years ago where they thought about this stuff. We had really smart founders. And you can see it in how things were laid out. Now, we've gone down this path where we, as a society, have voted ourselves more and more access to the public treasury in various forms. We've done that. It's not necessarily, hey, send us money. It's send us money indirectly through various taxes and various taxation and various government overreaches. And so that's what happens, in my view, becomes extremely vivid during a government shutdown. And you start realizing, my gosh, there's a lot of people impacted by this. I hate that. I don't love that for the individuals, for the people. What I'm saying, though, is we've allowed this to happen. We got to stop this, not by getting these people to stop arguing, but by voting in a direction that says we really need less government. At what point does being a politician become a career? Why? That just doesn't make sense to me, that we should have political careers. That is something that just blows my mind, that we now have career politicians. You can read between the lines. That means I'm probably a term limits guy somewhere down the line. I know there's got to be nice, stable transition of government and all that. I'm just saying you shouldn't spend 40 or 50 years being paid by the taxpayer as a career.
As a former politician, you had a very short career, 6 or 8 years or so. Is that right?
Sound like I wonder why. Yeah. It's not like I was going to be successful on the campaign trail. I wasn't going to say things that necessarily went with the ebb and flow of society in the moment. But I did locally, city council, school board. I never lost an election. That is something. There's something to be said. I was the guy that quit while I was ahead. I served 2 terms in each of those positions. If I believe in term limits, then I kind of have to self-impose the term limits. I can't say we should have term limits in various places around the country, in various political places. I can't say that and then serve for unlimited amount of terms on the school board or city council. It's somebody else's turn to come in, fresh eyes, see things differently. This is what's crazy. I served 2 terms in both of those organizations, city council, school board. When I stopped serving, when I did not run again, those institutions did not collapse. When Shane was no longer on city council, our city government didn't collapse. When I did not sign up to run for a 3rd term on school board, our school, it did not collapse. We still have a school district here in Huntington, Texas. We still have a city council here in Huntington, Texas. I would argue that our school is flourishing. Our city is flourishing, relatively speaking, to our local economy. I think we've got a pretty good thing going on here in East Texas. The commute is really, really fun. It's 6 minutes, no traffic. And so, hey, we've got something going on. Me staying in those capacities was irrelevant. Other people can serve in those capacities too. Sometimes we have to have people move out, move away, decide to do something else to allow others to step in and do things.
Let's talk about how this government shutdown is affecting our agencies. Even if you are not in a place that the economy very heavily relies upon federal funding, like we are here in Pensacola, there are people in your area that are federal workers. We have the workers at the post office. We have TSA. There are all sorts of federal jobs all over the country. So when the paycheck stopped and people are going through their savings, spending is slowing down, and insurance payments start to be a challenge, especially as high as rates are right now. When you start getting those phone calls, those emails, can I skip this month? What happens if I can't pay until I get back to work? How do we handle those conversations with our clients?
Unfortunately, we've created a society that we have to eventually course correct on. And that is that someone else has got to solve the problem for me. The insurance companies are the easy targets. Banks, easy targets. Insurance companies, easy targets. What I don't love about the general conversation that happens here and the conservative fiscal mindset is that the regulatory bodies, the state insurance commissioner, the insurance commissioners in each state, thank goodness we are state regulated, at some point to come in and say, insurance company, we need you to pause cancellations. We need you to not cancel someone for non-payment of premium. Why is that now the responsibility of the insurance company? Why isn't it the government, the bigger government that has been voted for? Why do they get to pass that off on the insurance company? Now the insurance company's got to play banker, which is not in their forte. They still have claims, like the insurance commissioners, the governors. I think this has started in Illinois. It's like, no, big bad insurance company, you can't cancel anybody. Well, wait a minute. What about your contingency fund? What about your doomsday fund? A lot of states have funds these days. What about other sources that need to step in? Why does it always have to be that I need you to not stop your service? The grocery store is not being asked to start allowing IOUs. There's other places that are not being asked to stop charging. I think this is one of those areas where we are misguided. My personal opinion, we are misguided in where we like to go to have people deal with this. Now, at our agency level, I understand there's got to be compassion. There's got to be conversations. You got to be able to handle that. Our clients are our friends, and in some cases, those friends are working in an occupation that is dependent on the government being open and the government spending money. And I do think there's compassion there. What I don't love, and I've never loved, I didn't like it during COVID because it got us in a mess. It's going to get us in a mess again if we're not careful. This idea that the claim is still going to happen and the claim's going to be expected to be paid, but the premium is going to be expected to be paused. Like, those things don't reconcile. Whose responsibility is it really? I believe the American people are resilient. If they have situations where, it's not perpetually forever. It's situations where maybe there's got to be bridges built financially. That could be in the form of some type of home equity line. That could be in the form of something else. You mentioned savings. Maybe there's a 401k loan, an employer loan. I've made it clear that I'm willing to do that for our people, an interest-free loan temporarily to bridge the gap. I think there's lots of sources, and I know we're talking about somebody that works for the government, but unless both household members, we're assuming married couple here, both work for the government, which is also possible, then that's a different discussion. I have situations where one spouse works for a government-funded agency that is not going to get paid, but they have to show up for work. As an employer, I've extended the option of a temporary bridge loan that I'm not charging interest for, like an advancement that can be paid back when the payment does come in. If that became that point, well then, okay, we'll do that. We're going to do that to help take care of our people. And so my point is this: churches, there's so many different things in our society that can step up and has stepped up historically to provide for needs of people, that I just don't love this idea that it's always got to be pause the insurance premium or you can't cancel a policy. Doesn't that create this environment that can backfire on us? If we don't allow people to be resilient, if we don't allow people to have personal responsibility, I think that's part of the deal of balancing this personal responsibility with compassion, empathy, in how we talk about this.
I agree. Personal responsibility and being resilient are so incredibly important. From the perspective of the agency owner, from the perspective of a producer or a CSR within our agencies, those concepts are not something that we can tell a client for us to keep a client. So looking at it from the perspective of how do we really help our clients, What can we do? Can we reach out to carriers and find out if there's a grace period? Do deferred payment plans exist? Can we do a reinstatement without lapse if payment is received? Looking at protecting our client relationships as agency owners, as producers working in agencies. Yes, I agree with you 100%. But on a day-to-day basis, working in the agency, what can we do to help to protect our relationships with our clients?
We can be empathetic, like you mentioned earlier, our tone, our approach. Practically, sure, we can make those phone calls. We can help in the sense of gathering information. There may be certain situations on certain commercial accounts. If you have this opportunity, maybe you have a premium finance policy, something where there is an opportunity where there's interest being charged already, and that interest could, that payment could be paused, but the interest is going to continue. So the premium finance company and the agency might step in and say, look, we believe in this customer. We want to help support this customer. We will co-sign on that payment with my premium finance company. I know we've done some things like that before inside the Integra Partner Network with some of our partner agents, with our own subsidiary, our own premium finance company that is just for our partner agents. We have some flexibility there. Not everybody has that flexibility across the country. If you work with a major bank-owned, financial institution-owned premium finance company, you may not get that kind of flexibility. But I know we've been able to do that. I go over to the other side of the office and I ask my younger brother I got to stop saying baby brother. He's 38 years old. I got to quit saying
I noticed you did that.
He's a full-grown man, beard and all. My younger brother, I can say, hey, can we get some requests to pause some payments for a little bit? Now, we're taking on risk when we do that. Like if they cancel, we could be upside down. So then we might say to the agent, hey, are you good with this? Can you co-sign this? Are you agreeing with this? There's things that can happen. Inside the agency spectrum, we know our customers. We're probably in the best position to know which customers are taking advantage of the situation versus which customers truly have the need. And I think that's the other side of this. We get broadcasted when we get that government regulator pushing things down the pipe, and it doesn't apply to everybody. If the entire state of Illinois, if there's this and I'm picking on Illinois because it's just the one that popped up in the news. Forgive me, Illinois friends. But it's like, hey, nobody can be canceled or whatever. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Not everybody is a government worker. So we can't do that. That's silly. People are going to take advantage of that. And we're going to end up upside down. And we're not going to have collected payments. And it's just going to be a royal mess. Politicians are really good at making royal messes out of things. So this fits. And for us as agency owners, I just keep repeating and coming back to this idea of understanding our clients. We know our clients best. We're in the best position to have these conversations. Empathetic to the situation. Can we do the research? Can we help? The answer is yes. Yes, we can do that. Can we stop things from happening? Can we make a bill go away? I don't think anybody can make a bill go away completely. We can be empathetic to it. We can understand. We can put ourselves in their shoes. One of our core values is make it personal. So if it was us sitting in this government job where I'm not getting paid and I have bills that are still coming due, what would I do? How would I see things? What is my view of the world through that lens? That's what I feel like I need to do. And that's what I would think about it from an agency ownership standpoint.
If your book involves the National Flood Insurance Program, we know that is really being affected by the government shutdown. No new NFIP policies are being issued. Renewals are delayed. Real estate closings requiring that active flood coverage are being delayed nationwide. That's a big part of some people's business. And I believe this is one of those opportunities that we have to strengthen our relationships with our real estate and mortgage partners and help them navigate the bottleneck. We are in a unique position to do that.
This is prime time to step to the plate and be that information. 100% agree with that. And I think the thing that we have to keep in mind, and we need to be able to tell our friends in our sister industries what we can and cannot do. We need to be able to prepare them. That strengthens the partnership. What happens with a lot of, let's call it salespeople, producers, what happens there is we are really, really in love with positive vibes. In an environment like this, it may be no over and over again because of limitations, the flood program not being reauthorized, causing mortgage closings to change and be delayed and all that stuff. Yes, you have to be transparent. You need to be an information source and confident that if someone else is trying to steal your thunder and grab that relationship and they're saying things that is not correct, they're going to get burned. They're going to jump into this place where it's not going to work out well for them. I know that there are private flood options, just sticking with that flood theme. And I also know that not every mortgage company, not every situation will approve private flood. Part of it is being a communicator, being an information source for those business partners actually raises our value in the times in the future where, things are a little easier. And so there's an opportunity here for you as an agency owner, producer, salesperson to just be that critical partner for a lot of these connected industries so that you are super valuable. Like you raise the level of your value in times like this. I would encourage you to lean in, embrace that negativity, embrace that scenario as the expert. Just know what you can and can't do. You have to let go of it just feels better to get a yes or to say, yes, we can handle that. Sometimes the best thing you can do for those partnerships is say, no, we can't. And here's why we can't. I think there's value in that. I want to deal with people who are transparent and honest with me, and they're not just trying to say what they think I want them to say. I don't want to do business with that person.
I'm going to leave us today with this quote from Kobe Bryant. Everything negative, pressure, challenges, is all an opportunity to rise.
Attitude's a choice. Make a great one.
Bye, y'all.
At the Integra Partner Network, we understand that carrier access is the key to your agency's success. That's why Integra offers direct access to top-rated personal and commercial carriers, ensuring your agency thrives in today's challenging market. And with our comprehensive resources, profit sharing and bonus opportunities, technology and peer support, all while you retain 100% of your book with no penalties to exit, Integra is ready to empower you and your agency to find sustained growth. Find your way to Integra. Visit IntegraPartnerNetwork.com today. That's IntegraPartnerNetwork.com.